The reason for the book that you've heard about, and you're all being given a book before you leave, so this isn't shtick to sell the book, is that came about because of a belief system. What I realized is that through TAB, and it goes with the how this whole thing came about, through TAB, I've been able to bring about what I hope are some significant changes through the local facilitators and coaches using the system to change the lives of a lot of people. It's actually changed the lives of thousands of people. Through the book, what I found and what the goal was and what's being achieved with it is we're now tapping into maybe the thinking of hundreds of thousands of people, and the change system that can come about is a lot more than can just come about from those people who are TAB members. The reality is TAB is an invitation-only situation. People have to be accepted into TAB. The principles you're going to hear today will apply for you to your life, whether you're involved in TAB or you're not. So for those, we're going to start off with what are the secrets now. The first secret, personal vision. And for those, many of you have family businesses where there's another family member in the business, full-time employee. For those of you, when you hear personal vision, I hope you'll be thinking about this not just from your own, but understanding that you need to understand the personal vision of your family members who are in the business, and they need to understand yours. Second is a look in the mirror. This is a self-diagnostic. Third, having personal plans, and I'm talking about written plans. Fourth, the fourth actually is the beginning of making these plans happen. Results-driven communication. Next, you don't always need it, but very often if it's important, negotiating to make it happen. Creativity to make it happen. And then finally, changing course, because things don't always go the way you think they're going to go. Let's start off with the first secret. Personal vision. To me, trying to go through life without having a direction of where you want to go, some target of what you're trying to go toward, and I'm talking about 5 or 10 years from down the line, that destination that will really bring you fulfillment, that lifestyle in which you are doing something that is meaningful to you, not to somebody else, that you're doing things about which you really care. You need to set that in writing, and you do that by answering certain questions that tie in what you enjoy doing in life. Now the results can be pretty interesting. They can be pretty interesting. I had one situation where there's a guy who owns it's a very active company called VintageGuitar.com, and he had been the CEO of another company. By the time he got through writing his personal vision, within a year, he wound up giving a really high-powered type of position, highly compensated type of position, and now he owns Vintage Guitar. He loves guitars, he's a musician, he's great at what he does, has nothing to do with his software degree. And it was running a high-tech company. It all started off with identifying what brings you happiness. The reason why he was doing what he was doing before is because it brought his wife happiness. And she wanted him to be in that position, running that type of company, making that kind of money, and so forth and so on. So the key is to start off with not what your mother wanted for you, not what a spouse made. What will bring you happiness? And what are the type of things that go along with that? And you do have to identify the material needs, the kind of work you want to be doing, when you want to be working, where you want to be working. I have 12 questions that you'll have to answer in the book. Next, gems by their nature have awareness, self-awareness. And by that I mean is that they really know who they are. Most people don't really clearly look and see themselves in the mirror the way they really are. So one of the secrets that we have is, for those of you who don't find it as natural, is how do you bring about this self-awareness? Well, anybody here done a business swap? And several of you have. Okay. all of you should do it for your businesses, but we're going to focus on you personally today. And the same principles that you hear right now for the SWOT are the same principles you should be using for your business. The strength, the S stands for strength in a SWOT. And I'm going to go into it in more detail on strength in just a moment. The W, weakness. We all have weaknesses. I know I get bored very easily. I know that for a while I worked in accounting while I was going to law school. And it was difficult for me because I just sitting there was difficult. And working on the details, it's just not who I am. Now, none of these things, when you identify your weaknesses, make you a bad person. Just being honest with yourself. Because you do not want to compete in areas in which there are weaknesses. Opportunities. Well, you know, one opportunity that came about was when McGraw-Hill said, will you write a book? That's an opportunity. There are opportunities out for you. Identify them. Threats. A lot of the male Fishmans in the family have not lasted a long time with heart problems. So you can't stop a threat. What you do is you prepare for a threat. In my situation, you know, there's the niacin and the Lipitor and all those good things, and hopefully that takes care of things. But you can only do what is within your control. Each of you have some threats in your life. It may be a marriage. It may be something that deals with your business that you're facing. It may be some personal aspect of who you are. The key is to be honest. Honest with yourself. And I'm not going to ask anybody to mention what their threats are. Okay, but this is really important. And I said I'll talk later about strengths. Without any doubt, one of the most important common factors of gems is that they focus the great majority of their time, in fact, a minimum of 75% of their time, on their competitive edge strengths. And this is what allows them to compete best. So, now, what do I mean by competitive edge strengths? And the easiest way to remember this is if you think of the word PAVE, P-A-V-E. And unlike what most people think, it does not start with your ability. I have a natural ability in accounting, but that wouldn't be my strength if I don't enjoy doing it. It starts off with the big P word, which is passion. Every single gem I've ever met, every tab member that has moved into the level of being a gem, have in common that what they do focuses on what they feel so passionately about that they don't need someone to tell them to work on it. The problem is you're thinking about it too much, and you're making notes. And I've seen the head shakes, right? And that's because that's the way it is. When you love something, it doesn't matter what it is. I mentioned before about the man, his name is Mark. He loves guitars. He loves buying these 50, 100-year-old mandolins and whatever, and then making them something beautiful where that sound is great. He has that passion for it. There may be nobody in the room here who has that kind of passion for that. But I've seen a couple ladies shaking their head when I said about it's hard to not work on it. So you obviously, the two of you, have some passions that just pull you, right? And that's great. That's what makes life exciting. And that passion, by the way, I believe, if you don't have that something that you feel so passionate about outside of business, I think it's also something that stops you from being fulfilled, and certainly a bad thing that stops you